much for joining us on LawWiser, and it's great to have you back. I want you to, since maybe a lot of people may not have watched the first video, just maybe a quick introduction to everyone who's watching this about what you do and how you work with lawyers in what capacity, and then we can move on to lots of other stuff that we have lined up to discuss today.
Perfect. Okay. Well, hi, my name is Pamela DeNeuve, and I'm very happy to be here and very happy that LawWiser is taking this initiative to highlight the importance of this area. For past 25 years, I have worked with lawyers, helping them to overcome stress, depression, alcoholism, and suicidal tendencies. We know that the legal profession is at high risk today all over the world for their well-being, as well as trying to achieve productivity while focusing on their well-being. And so this is the topic that's very near and dear to me. Just real quickly is that I am a peer reviewer for the Lawyer Wellbeing Report that was published by the American Bar Association. Also, I've written over 250 articles on about these very issues. And I have a book coming out in November, which talks about how multi-generational law firms can increase and have more productivity among the generations and improve their communication.
Thank you so much, Pamela. So my first question is, for those like me who probably don't understand the basics, could you explain what are the differences between stress, anxiety, and burnout?
Okay, I'd be happy to do that. Now, it's important to know that they kind of all, there's no like real fine line. Some they bleed into the other. But here's like the very basic things you want to know. You want to know that stress is generally caused by situations outside of you, or circumstances or situations. So stress can be caused by, having overwhelming demands in your law practice. It can be because you feel like you're not meeting your billable hours. It could be because you feel like you're not going to be able to keep your job or be able to perform. It could be caused by a demanding or unkind employer. Stress can be caused by your situations like, for example, you're having marital difficulties. So you're having these difficulties at home. And so then when you go into work, it affects your ability to concentrate and focus. Also, you could be having problems with your children. Maybe you've extended yourself financially. So these are all, as a rule, you can see they're all situations that are outside of you that are causing you to feel stressed. And it doesn't mean because it's outside of you, it's any less important, but you have to know that stress is caused by your billable hours or when you go into the office. Now, anxiety is a little different because anxiety it can have some of the same symptoms, but it's caused by something inside of you, which means you can be anxious or nervous or worried. You can have it cause various disorders. For example, you can have an anxiety disorders. You can have panic attacks. The stress can feed into the anxiety. When you have unchecked stress, it can lead to anxiety, which now you're starting to have all those physical symptoms. You're starting to have mental disorders. You're starting to have depression. You're starting to have substance abuse. So all of those things are things that happen. And, it's can really like the walls are closing in on you. So I've noticed I've had people, they've had these chronic headaches due to the anxiety. It leads to being uncontrolled thoughts. A lot of lawyers, they have racing thoughts. So these thoughts are, well, what if this? You can't stay right here where you are now. You're so busy focusing outside. So it's really important to notice that if you're anxious, you probably want to go see a physician or a doctor or a psychiatrist to help you to manage your anxiety. because the anxiety, those are things that lead to, heart attacks. They could lead to, in the long term, to have anxiety a long time, it could lead to having cancer. It could lead to having shortness of breath. It could lead to needing, overeating. All those things are caused. So you can see stress can cause a lot of things that anxiety does, but the anxiety is really a physical manifestation from your insides. And then when we talk about burnout, burnout is not far away from stress or anxiety, but burnout is long-term stress or long-term anxiety can result in just total exhaustion, total inability to even perform. In other words, you're operating on a flat plane, or say a lower plane emotionally, and you cannot even get going to do what you need to do. I've had clients, they've just to get dressed. So say if it was a woman, just to get up and put her makeup on, get her dressed, she's taking she worked her whole job just to get ready. Or the men, to put one pants leg in the other, just like getting the suit. And they get there and they sit at their office and they're literally despondent. And, a lot of people say, oh, you're just being lazy. No, it's not being lazy. It means you literally burned yourself out. Now, the thing about anxiety and with stress is that, our bodies are chemical factories. So when we get these chemicals in our body that keep us amped up all the time, and you're running, you're running on this high anxiety, and you get this cortisol and all these things, and you do this, you really can deplete your body from those natural chemicals. So you don't really have access to the good chemicals that can help you to do your job. So our bodies are not just static. It's like our bodies, we release chemicals based on our thoughts. It's just like if you want to think about, if you're looking at a horror movie or something like that, and your heart is beating fast, you're releasing chemicals based on what you see or what you think. So just think about someone in a law practice, and they're running on that every day. They're running into the office and they're doing this and they're doing that. They're doing that. And then it comes, they're just become depleted. And so I also want to mention a big thing in anxiety is insomnia. And so that can also lead to, you're going around on half empty because you can't get any sleep, or you wake up in the middle of the night and you're thinking about what could go wrong, and you can't stop your mind from going on and on and on, and feel like the disaster. It's like the feeling of impending doom, which is an anxiety feeling. But when you keep that long term, then you just literally are unable to do your job. You're unable, when you burn out, you're unable to do your job. You're unable to be effective. You're running, I call it a Fort Low. You're like pushing yourself just to do the basics, and you feel like you have no ability, and you don't want to be around people. You want to just kind of be to yourself. You may want to drink, or you want to take your tranquilizers, extra tranquilizers, and then you feel sorry for yourself. You feel depressed, you feel hopeless, and this is the place where a lot of suicide happens, or the suicidal ideations, because it's just like, I can't go on. I know I have this job. I know I have these clients that are calling me. I've literally had clients where there's just all this stuff. I don't even know what's on my desk. It's just so much. I can't even perform. And I don't care. I don't care, and I don't care that I don't care. So that's when you're at a point of burnout. And so, just to encapsulate everything, stress, is like kind of the entryway, and then prolonged stress can lead to anxiety, which are the physical manifestations, and insomnia, and nervousness, and worry, and panic attacks. And then you continue that on, and then you get to the point where you hit the wall and you're unable to do what you need to do. And so this is when the hopelessness, and a lot of times I work with, a lot of lawyers who've been practicing law for 18 years. And they're saying, Pamela, I don't know what happened. I can't do what I need to do. I can't even concentrate. And so those are things, these can be reversed, but you first have to acknowledge it. And this is, again, where lawyers, you have to admit to yourself. It doesn't start with admitting to someone else. Admitting to yourself that you're in over your head, that you cannot seem to dig yourself out of this hole, and you can't do it alone. Don't think you're going to do it alone, because you're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be like it was yesterday. And only if you don't get help, the thing about depression, anxiety, is that it only gets worse with time. If you don't do anything to correct it, it only gets worse with time.
Pamela, picking from what you just said, the fact that a lot of times lawyers don't even admit, first of all, maybe they don't even realize, and then they don't admit to themselves, forget about to anybody else, that they even need help, like that they are even at a stage of burnout or anxiety or whatever. So, in fact, in this context, as part of this mental health awareness campaign for the legal community, at LawWiser, we've actually started this initiative called #MyBurnoutStory. And we're actually, warmly encouraging, lawyers or other legal professionals to share their stories of how they felt, what they faced, how they coped. And in fact, it can be done anonymously. They don't even have to share their personal details with us, not even an email or a name, but just their stories, because we felt like maybe hearing that or reading that, other lawyers around the world would be able to relate, and then say, hey, I'm feeling the same way, and this is what is happening to me or happened to me. And in that context, since we have you here with us today, I was wondering if we can even help some of our viewers, to understand that if they are, burnt out, literally, what are some of the ways that they can cope or heal? Are there any solutions that you could suggest at a personal level? Like, I'm not talking about at an organizational level, but just me at a personal level, what could I do?
Okay, this is very good. And one of the things that's very helpful is that, I actually experienced burnout myself. And so what I experienced was I would wake up in the morning and everything seemed gray. And there just seemed like, almost like, oh, I woke up another day, I got to do another day. And to have that exhaustion, I have had that exhaustion of trying to get ready and get going and kind of like moving myself like furniture, like a piece of wood throughout the day. Like there's no fluidity, it's just like really forced actions and out of enormous fatigue. So, personally, so I can share from a personal experience, and then what I worked with my clients. So this is my clients relate to it because they say, oh, she did it. Now she helps people overcome it. So one of the things that I did, number one, is I did have to acknowledge, I was like, I don't need help. I'm invincible. And, I was much younger at the time. And, it seemed like, I was from the Midwest. I was living in California at the time, but I was from the Midwest. You never admit or go get help. But anyway, going to get help and kind of seeing what is going on that you're feeling this way. Many times, believe it or not, lawyers have PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. And that comes from being in a pressurized environment, and it can bring up a lot of trauma that you may have experienced earlier in your life. So it's just like if you might have a war veteran, and a war veteran has his PTSD because he's in a situation that reminds them of something that happened, and it's all subconscious. And 90% of our thoughts are subconscious. So once you realize, okay, I'm having some PTSD here, and so then I can get help with that. And that's when you can talk with a counselor, or you can talk with a psychiatrist, or you can work your way through that, or even read books. There are tons of books that deal with PTSD. And once you have that, then you start realizing you have to dig yourself out. And you have to think it's like business as usual. I tell my clients to think of it as if you were an Olympic athlete. Lawyers are like Olympic athletes and they have to perform. And so being an Olympic athlete, there are certain things that you have to do to win. You can't just get up and go to the Olympics and win. You have to get enough sleep. An Olympic athlete gets enough sleep. You have to maybe sleep more than you're comfortable sleeping. A lot of lawyers brag, oh, I just got off with 4 hours or 2 hours, or, I hardly slept. That isn't a badge of honor. That's a road leading to burnout, or continuing to feeling burned out, or leading into trauma. The second thing is that you want to drink a lot of water. Our bodies are like, I think 70 or 80% water. So if you can think better, when you hydrate your body, you're giving your body something that allows your blood to flow and your brain to be clear and get the fog out of your head. So just drinking lots of water is a good beginning. Making sure of your nutrition is very important. A lot of times when you're going through trauma, or you're going through burnout, or you're trying to dig yourself out of a really bad emotional situation, you may lay off refined sugars and flour, because those are things that rev your engine up, and you're trying to drink water, you're trying to nourish your body. And then you have to find something nourishing that works for you. Some people do yoga, go for a walk. I mean, I start my mornings, most mornings, I live close to the ocean, is I walk my dogs on the beach in the morning. And that's how I start. I invest that time in me, in my well-being. It's like you have to think of, when you're thinking about your body, you have to think about you're depositing good things into your body so that you can perform. So when you think about the nutrition, the water, the getting sleep, and then you want to, and to having some sort of physical exercise. So many lawyers sit at the desk and they become, your circulation is inhibited. You're in a stress situation. You're probably getting back pain because you're holding yourself rigid. You're holding your neck rigid. And so then it helps you can't even sleep. So if you walk, just walking allows your body, to refresh itself and get the blood circulation and get the oxygen. Breathing is a big one. So many lawyers hold your breath. You're working, you're holding your breath, you're working so intensely, you're not even breathing. So no wonder your brain's not functioning the way it should. So those little things, you have to incorporate them as a part of your well-being. And you want to make sure that you treat yourself as if you were a valuable thoroughbred racehorse, or you were a valuable Olympic athlete. And these are just the basics that you want to do for yourself. And then there's something I call the Pomodoro Method when you're working. You can look it up. The Pomodoro Method, I don't know if you have ever heard of that? The Pomodoro Method is you work for a specific period of time and you put a timer on your desk. So you're working and then it rings. So say, for example, if you're really advanced and you don't have a distraction issue, which many lawyers do because of the phones and emails and whatever, but if you have a 90-minute, you can do that. If you feel like you're having a really bad problem with distraction, do 30 minutes. Set the timer on your smartphone. Set the timer for 90 and work. Don't look at email, don't do anything. Work the 90 minutes or the 30 minutes. When it rings, you get up, you give yourself a 5-minute break, you breathe, get some oxygen, you drink some water, you hydrate, you kind of walk around, and then you go back and you sit back and you set it again for the 30, 60, or 90 minutes, whatever it is. You work again and the timer goes off, you do repeat the same thing. So now you're nourishing yourself while you're working, and you're allowing yourself to be more productive. You're feeling good about what you're doing. You're not all hunched over your desk. You're not all dehydrated. Your mouth is dry. And then the third time you do it, you get up, you take a break, and then you might take, 20 minutes. So you take a good time, like kind of relax, kind of shake your head, you may want to check your email or whatever. So you want to, like, the Pomodoro method really helps to improve your productivity, and it helps you to avoid burnout because you're not sitting there hour after hour clenched over your desk, holding yourself tight and not paying any attention to your nutrition, your oxygen, your water intake. And those are some things that can really help you. And the other thing is that if you know, having a coach can be pretty expensive, but you can get a partner. You know, then it's hard. This is like breaking the rules in the legal law firm because everybody's acting like I have it 100% together. But if you said, hey, you know, why don't we partner together and kind of support each other and, you know, say, you know, did you walk today? Did you eat right? Did you do something? Because when you're accountable to someone else, it makes a big difference in how you're able to overcome.
It's like the buddy system, you know, like you, I've done that a lot. And it helps you to, you know, stick to a decision that you took and kind of keep checking in back, you know, whenever you check in on your buddy, you're kind of checking in with yourself as well.
Absolutely. That's excellent.
So thank you so much, Pamela. That was really helpful. I think actually there's a lot of it that I can apply as well. I tend to, you know, I just realized I've started eating my meals in front of the laptop and I need to really, like, you know, segregate and, you know, time out is time out. And when, you know, you're working. There's another thing I've started doing is just putting my, you know, phone on airplane mode for like 15, 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour. Because and now because I use WhatsApp on my laptop also because it's just, you know, kind of easier, and then it's like pinging, buzzing all the time. So I mean, WhatsApp for me is like Outlook. I mean, for followers I guess it's Outlook, but for me, like, a lot of constant stuff happens on WhatsApp. So, and I found that and that then I discovered that I have this thing called the Zen mode on my phone. So I discovered it much later, but I realized that, you know, I can select 20 minutes and I can't get any calls, notifications, nothing. And I found that it's really helped me.
Absolutely. That's one of the purposes of the Pomodoro method, is that all your distractions are shut down and you're focusing and you become more productive. And the other thing, last thing I wanted to say is about meditating. Meditating and yoga are two huge players. And, you know, a lot of my clients do yoga. It makes an enormous difference. And then if you can learn to meditate, you know, and if you can't really meditate a long time, you can actually get apps on your phone for meditation. Even if you start off with 5 minutes, you know, I personally believe that I meditate an hour a day. But if you can't do that, even 5 minutes would help you, because what you're doing is you're training your brain to stop. You're slowing your brain down and you're telling your brain that I can tell you when to stop. It doesn't tell you. Sometimes I say, you know, people's thoughts are like you have a team of horses and you're dragging behind this team of horses, and the thoughts carry you this way and that way, and you have no thought, no say so. But starting to meditate gets to, like, I'm thinking this way. This is where I want my thoughts to go. And that's important. So very, very important in the rehabilitation from burnout.
Thank you so much, Pamela. That was really helpful. And I made some mental notes for myself as well. And I really hope that whoever is listening to this, you know, can really, you know, start somewhere, take one step, you know, towards their mental well-being, and hopefully feel much better, feel more in control. And so thank you so much. And again, I hope to see you very soon. We have a lot going on, you know, leading up to mental, you know, health awareness day. So thank you again so much for your time, and have a good day.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.